When things aren't going well in business, pretty much the last thing any one of us wants to do is to really acknowledge the fear, the emotions that are lingering under the surface. And that is because it feels really dangerous. You're already on shaky ground and you're worried that things aren't going to succeed, that you're going to fail. If we allow ourselves to actually acknowledge those fears fully, what we're worried is going to happen is that we collapse in a heap, that it's going to be uncontrollable. Because I know this has been my story personally, but also so many of my clients. We just hunker down, like we push those feelings down for so long because they feel very inconvenient and, like I said, dangerous. And we numb ourselves and we just keep ourselves in this state of disassociation, really, like disconnect from our body. And we just run our businesses from our heads, which we think is enough, but it's actually not. But what happens over time is emotions get closer and closer to the surface. They want to come out, they want to be expressed. And the thing that I've learned is that once we actually allow them out, when we allow ourselves to feel, to acknowledge what's going on and to express ourselves, it is the most healing and calming and grounding exercise once we've moved through those feelings. And it's nowhere near as bad as we think it's going to be. I think a lot of us have this thing that, like, okay, if I start crying, I'm never going to stop crying. And if I acknowledge just how difficult this feels, I'm going to lose the will to do this anymore. I'm just going to curl up on a couch and just give up on my business. But that is rarely what happens. And if it does happen, it's probably because you're in such a state of burnout that your body is crying out to you to pause. And if you ignore it any longer, you could actually be putting yourself at risk. So, what we're doing today is the counterintuitive thing. Because again, I know when you're in discomfort, when things aren't good, all you want to do is run towards a solution and away from the pain. But we are going to first pause and we're going to do some exercises to really just acknowledge what's been going on. Because as long as we don't, like I said, it's like we've got this lid on our feelings and our bodies, and our heads operating one way while our body's doing something completely different. And we cannot actually get into a state of groundedness and alignment in order to make the right decisions to get us out of this mess. So we have to finally let it out, feel it fully, and then we get to take a breath and we get to bring it back to a healthy baseline, and we can start making decisions from a very different place, not a place of avoidance and repression and fight or flight, but one that acknowledges, okay, things aren't great right now, and yet I'm going to be fine. I'm going to figure this out and we're going to move forward. So, a word of warning, some of these exercises can be a lot. I don't want you doing them unless you know that you've got the time and the space and the capacity. Do not do them right before you need to go to a meeting with a client or something. Potentially doing it at the end of the day before you can get in a bath or just curl up with a book is a great idea, but obviously you do you. But let's dive in. The first layer that we want to address and start to really peel back is to just ask this question and answer it honestly. How are you feeling right now? How are you feeling? I don't want you answering this from your head. Well, this is going on and this is going on and da 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 da, and so said this to me. Pause before you answer this question. And remember, you only have to answer it for yourself. You're not actually going to be telling me unless you feel like sharing in the comments or hitting reply to this email, depending on how you're consuming this content. I want you to just put your hands on your chest or somewhere on your body that just feels supportive, and I want you to just tune into your breathing before you answer this question. I don't want you to force your breathing. I want you to remember that your body breathes you. Your breathing happens without you trying. So, for once, let's not try, because I know that if things have been feeling hard in business, you've probably been trying really hard at everything for a really long time. So, today, you don't have to try. Today, you let your body do what it does best, and it breathes. And once you've given yourself at least 3, but ideally 5 breath cycles, just noticing what's going on with the breath. You know, where in your body are you really feeling this? Like, is it a shallow breath? Do you feel it down in your belly? Does it feel easy to breathe? Like, what other parts of your body do you notice while you're breathing? Like, we're just being curious. Then we're going to turn inward. And that's when we're going to go, how am I feeling? And for once, you're just going to answer that honestly. You're going to let your body tell you how you're feeling instead of your mind creating a story about how you're feeling. And your body may have a lot to say. And you may want to pull out your journal at this point and treat it as a little bit of a confessional. This can be a really nice opportunity to say all the things that you've not been saying, because it can feel naughty, it can feel wrong, like to admit, well, I'm tired and I am annoyed with my clients, or I'm frustrated that this is happening. I want you to just allow yourself to feel all those things, to express all of those things, because they need to be acknowledged. And you'll find that there's usually like a layer of them sitting here, okay? And they are the lid that is keeping everything else in, because under that layer is the real you, is all of this energy and emotion that wants to be expressed, but the kind that's going to absolutely support your journey forward. It's like your creative energy, your passion. All of that is here, but like we have to make sure that we've removed that top layer of gunk before the rest of this is able to be expressed. So for once, just guilt free, just express all the things that you are feeling and see then what starts to move. I find that it's a nice exercise sometimes to set a timer for like 5-10 minutes and do not stop writing during that whole time, because what tends to happen is once you've written out all the yucky stuff, then things start to shift. Then you might find yourself moving in the direction of starting to speak about what you want to feel instead, what you've been missing out on, what you're craving. And that is part of us like reorienting to ourselves and realizing, okay, like I've got some clues now as to what I need to do next. Okay, so that was layer 1, exercise 1. And there is more. There is more that we need to do today because we need to talk about what is often the most difficult emotion for us to find, and yet is the emotion that has so much power to mess with our plans, to change how we feel about ourselves, to really blur our perception of the world. I'm going to read out a quote by Brene Brown. She says, "Shame is the most powerful master emotion. It's the fear that we're not good enough." I know for a fact that a lot of business owners carry a secret shame with them. I have lost count of how many clients I've worked with who all thought that they were just especially inadequate. Like they were just uniquely crappy at being a business owner, and they were like somehow the only one who didn't really know what they were doing. And obviously that's not true. But when we live in this little shame bubble and when we're keeping it so secret, it allows us to build this story of how we're the only one. Like we really kind of get special snowflake syndrome with shame. And it is so important for us to address shame. The only way we heal shame is actually bringing it out into the open. It thrives in secrecy, okay? It eats away at you. And it's the thing that can give you that feeling of like, oh, one day everyone's going to find out that I'm a total fraud. Think about what that does when we go in and we're meeting with a potential client. Think about what that is doing when we try and create content or we promote ourselves online. Like there is already, again, this level of disassociation and disconnect, because part of us is like playing the act of like, yeah, I'm so great at what I do, you should work with me. And deep down we're like, oh yeah, but if they work with me, they're going to find out. So we cannot let this go on any longer. And we're going to come at this from a few angles. But one of the things that I wanted to do is just remind you or raise your awareness of the fact that success and failure are just two sides of the same coin. You cannot become majorly successful without failing. There is no one on the planet where every single thing that they have ever done has just smooth sailing to success. We learn through failure, through things not working the way that we think they're going to work. And failure helps us develop these traits that we actually need for when we become uber successful one day. Like it is the making of us. And there are so many mega successful people who did not just magically find themselves where they are today. They had to go through their own failure stories in order to come out the other side who they are and with the businesses they have. So some of these, you can obviously look more of these up for yourself. Like this is one of the things that I give to clients. Anyone who's got that special snowflake syndrome, I'm like, you are clearly not consuming enough content from real people who are honest about the journey. You are only exposing yourself to people's shiny after stories, and that needs to change. So, you probably know Sarah Blakely, creator of Spanx. She basically had 2 straight years of being rejected by every hosiery manufacturer that she contacted, and she was still selling fax machines to pay the bills. Today, I'm pretty sure her company's worth about $1.2 billion. And she bootstrapped it herself. She was like packing orders in her living room. And now her failure is just as well known as her success because it's such an important message for everyone to know that like just because someone else doesn't see your vision does not mean that you're not supposed to do this thing. And so I love it when entrepreneurs like Sarah actually tell their stories about what it really took them to get where they are today, because she then gets to become the motivation for us not giving up on ourselves. So there's also like an extra thing here. It's like whatever struggle you're going through right now, chances are in the future, this is going to be a core part of your origin story and you are going to inspire other people too. I know it's not that easy to like consider this perspective right now while you're in the mud, but I'm just planting this seed for you. Couple of other stories. James Dyson, as in Dyson vacuums, built 5,126 prototypes in a garden shed by finding the one that worked. He was then rejected by every manufacturer, so like Hoover, Electrolux, Black& Decker, because they had no interest in disrupting their vacuum bag profits, because like he did the bagless vacuum cleaner. And so there are some people who are actually invested in you not succeeding because it's going to mess with their own thing. He ended up licensing to a Japanese company just to survive, and then he used that money to launch Dyson. Vera Wang, as in the designer in Vera Wang Bridal. So she had multiple failure stories. She was cut from the US Olympic figure skating team at 19. So she was originally a figure skater. Then she spent 17 years at Vogue and then was passed over for editor-in-chief in favor of Anna Wintour. And then she launched her own bridal label at 40. Now, of course, if you've seen Sex in the City, you know, one of her gowns was featured, like Sarah Jessica Parker wore it. Like she is actual fashion royalty. But at the time when she was passed over for that promotion at Vogue, I highly doubt that that was in her mind that, oh, this is actually serving me in the long run because I'm meant to do something even better than being editor-in-chief. Like we don't see these things until after the fact. And then one other example I just want to mention, it's important because like Dave Ramsey, who, I mean, love him or hate him, obviously he's a polarizing figure, but he is a very, very successful man. He's got what, a $200 million company these days, and he reaches like 20 million listeners a week. Now, his whole thing is helping people with money. Like that is what he's known for. But guess what? He was bankrupt. Like he had major financial disasters and had to recover from that. And then those failures ended up becoming the thing that he was most famous for. There is no way that he would have had the wisdom that he has today. There's no way he would have developed the unique perspectives that he has today if he hadn't been the person who'd gone through all of that. So sometimes our failures also even add to our credibility. And I will say, to be really transparent with where I'm at recording this course right now, I'm in a process of having to rebuild my business from the inside out because I, a couple of years ago, realized this isn't the business that I want to be building. Like, this is unsustainable. The success that I have is not worth what it's costing me. And over the last 18 months, I've had to put myself in my client's shoes, and I am re walking the path step by step in a painfully slow way as I go about this. But I tell you what, on one hand, I could go, oh, well, this is a failure because like I'm 11 years into business and I should be in a totally different position than I am right now. But having now had to walk this path and experience all of the fears, the obstacles, the shame, all of that that my clients go through, I understand this process at a deeper level than I ever have. It's allowed me to develop new frameworks and new perspectives and new ways of supporting my clients. My health journey, which was related to what's, with my business and all of that, led me to getting into somatic psychology, breath work, parts work, all of these modalities that helped heal me are now a core part of my coaching framework. So I have these tools available to me now that I would not have had available to me if my body hadn't failed me a few years ago. So, like everything in life, we have this opportunity to decide, do we either internalize this shame and write a story about it and allow it to continue haunting us until the end of time? Or do we reframe this as the fact that it is a rite of passage? Every struggle that we're having is revealing to us places where we do need to learn more. We do need different skills, perspectives. Like, it's showing us where the gaps are. And we can use these to learn and grow. Or we just go, oh, see more signs that I'm just inadequate. But if you want to actually get off the hamster wheel, if you want to get out of struggle and you want to reset your business so that you can start to find sustainable success, well, then the only option is for you to actually face the shame head on and bring it to the light. And so I've got a couple of contemplation prompts for you to do with your journal. I want you to answer the question, what are you terrified people will find out about you that you've been trying to keep a secret? Write out as many as are able to come out. Like, is it to do with, oh, I'm worried they'll find out that behind the scenes my business is a disorganized mess. I'm worried of them finding out I only have this much money in my bank account. I'm worried about them da 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 da. Fill in the blanks. Where do you feel the most inadequate or not enough? Like, where do you keep feeling like, oh, if I just had this, if I just had that? Where are you comparing yourself to other people? Where do you feel like you are just constantly falling short of your own expectations? Write them down too. And I want you to also write out, what are all the supposed failures that you have been storing away as evidence of your inadequacy? Like, what are all the proof points that you have? Well, there was that time that that client fired me. There was that time I wasn't able to pay my bills. There was the time that da 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 da. You are absolutely keeping track of these way better than you keep track of the evidence otherwise, because there's so much evidence that you are not inadequate, but like we just conveniently brush that away. So once you have done all of this writing, you've got two options. So you can either imagine that your closest friend is confessing these things to you, or you can imagine that a younger version of you, like think pre-adolescent, is saying these things to you. There's also option C, which is like you come up with however you want to do this. But what I want you to do is you're either going to connect with them on paper. So like you can do this as an actual journaling exercise. So imagine that there's an actual conversation happening. You might even have two different colored pens so that it's you and them having this back and forth. Or if you're someone who prefers more of like a visualization, you can just close your eyes and imagine them coming into the room and sitting down and talking about how they feel about themselves and kind of sharing all of this hidden shame. What do you want to say to them? Are you tempted to just like go, oh, how embarrassing, like get yourself together? Or does your heart break for them and you want to just like wrap them in a hug? I want you to really try and get into your heart here. Because sometimes that's just easier when it's not just us. Like we look in the mirror and we're just like, oh, you pathetic thing. You need to get yourself together. No, like someone you love is having this conversation with you. What happens now? And in case you haven't already, I want you to tell them how brave they are, how proud you are of their resilience, the fact that they haven't given up, that they had the courage to put themselves out there in the first place and even be able to fail. Because the thing is, like, people who aren't failing aren't trying. So the only true failure really is the one where you haven't allowed yourself the ability to fail. And this can bring up a lot. Like I said, this was a big one today. And if you're feeling a little bit wobbly or fragile, vulnerable after this, it's to be expected. Please be really gentle with yourself. What we've essentially done is like what I would guide a client through in a session, except you are guiding yourself through it, which is incredible. And just the fact that you've brought this stuff up to the surface and it's now out of you, like I said, it's like you're lifting off this lid and there is going to be more spaciousness for the truth to now start to come out and to guide you towards what you actually need moving forward. So I hope that even if this was a bit heavy and a bit difficult, I hope it also felt comforting in some ways, that you're feeling a little bit lighter. Once you're done with your exercises, make sure you shake it off. Maybe go for a walk, go out in nature, listen to some music, do something that just feels really nurturing, but also that is an opportunity for you to just like shake it off and like hit reset. Or you might even want to visualize all of that heavy stuff if it feels like it's still floating around you. Create a bubble out in front of you and imagine yourself just pouring all of these things into a bubble and then sending it off and allowing it to go up and be absorbed by the sun and then turned into something healthier. Like you can fully let this stuff go. You can also literally burn the pages of your journal if you want to let go of this stuff too, just as more of a symbolic act. But well done if you're still watching, if you've done these exercises. I'm proud of you too. And I'm grateful that you are trusting this process and it will get easier as we go. Okay, so hang in there. Take care of yourself, and I will chat to you on the next one.